Welcome back, thanks for stopping by. This is Reno in the Mix, back at you with another one. As I look around at the black community, I'm very sad at what I seen this article on black divorce, and the numbers were shocking. But what stood out the most were 90% of them were being filed by black women. I was floored by it, so I wanted to know more about the whys. What would make these women do such a thing? An African American family is not just a husband, wife, and child. It is a big community where all his and her relatives are connected. Therefore, as soon as you think about divorce, the whole fraternity will know about it. So if you decide to dissolve a marriage, be sure you are not just divorcing your husband, you are taking part in a process where all his relatives are involved. Therefore, be prepared for the fact that many people will influence your divorce. And of course, your relatives will worry about disagreements between you and your spouse and take it personally. Rest assured, in the process of divorce, you will have to calm your grandmother down even more than yourself. So I started my research. I looked and looked. I read about a whole list of reasons why black women were filing at such a high rate. As I dug through a bunch of so-called smart people's data and information, it hit me. They were just giving reasons why they were doing it, not really explaining the root causes. So I decided to look back on our past, where all this stemmed from, and just like every other problem in our communities, it points back to the same place, the early 1960s, women's liberation, welfare, and segregation movements. Those three things laid waste to our communities, and women's lib was the worst for black women. Let's speed up the timeline. Today you have what is called the strong independent black woman. What does that really mean? To black women it means so-called freedom. You can have it all. You don't need a man or a family. With a man in the home, you can have sex with as many men as you want and not be held accountable for it in a marriage. You can dress any way you want, no matter how vulgar it is. You can have a foul mouth, cuss, just say anything you want to anybody. You're free to do it. You can set standards for the men you want and use sex, trickery, to get him. You can have children in and out of wedlock. It makes no difference to you. Now you can come and go as you please, trade in the best years of your life for money and a career. They can travel around the world, make up their own rules as they go along. For them everything is Alice in Wonderland, until it's not. What's happening now is, reality is now beginning to hit home. These women are finding out, marrying a man that you can control doesn't work. Getting into marriage talking about everything is 50-50 is just not true. Getting into relationships with delusional expectations that only exist in their own mind is a big problem. Trying to reinvent marriage from the way it has worked for 1,000 years or more. Now let's look at the results of all this so-called independence. Our communities are in shambles. The women are the weakest black women in the history of America. They run and hide at the first sign of trouble. They lost any kind of family responsibility. They don't want to be ladies anymore. They want the streets. They think the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. These women have no sense of honor or duty to husbands or children. They will leave their kids fatherless at the drop of a hat. 75 to 80% are single. Truth is these women have chose the role of men. There are almost no real women left, only shells of what could have been. They file for divorce in such high numbers because they are rebelling against their own nature. They're listening to and buying into their failed girlfriends and weak mothers who never knew what being strong really meant. To be strong meant is to be strong for your husband and children and family. Not sneak out in the night like some coward thief, only carrying excuse after excuse, not taking responsibility for nothing, blaming anyone or everyone they can. Until they understand what their role is by nature. Again, this will never stop. Until next time, please subscribe, comment. This is Reno in the Mix. I'm out.